trees on the board. So we've got that. So really appreciate everybody. I'm Cecil Criswell. I'm the Teaching and Learning Coordinator with PREP-KC. And before I kind of get started with the presentation and some other introductions, I want to turn it over to our Vice President of PREP-KC, Dr. Doug Elmer. And Doug's going to give us a welcome. So thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Cecil, and thanks everybody for showing up today for the launch of our newest competition at PREP-KC. We are really excited about this one. We think that data science and data literacy is really an opportunity that's going to unlock so many doors for students. As you know, we work with business partners across Kansas City, and regardless if it's technology, if it's healthcare, if it's life sciences, if it's business, everyone is talking about the growing need for data science, and beyond just career skills, you really need to understand data to be able to make your way through the world these days. So we think that the work that our team's done to put this inaugural competition together is a really great springboard for your students and for all of you to learn more about data science and data visualization. We're working on having some really great prizes for this contest. We're really looking forward to the celebration in May, where we're going to bring everybody together at the end of this journey. And yeah, I just want to thank everybody from the PREP-KC team, Cecil and John and Susan and Liz and all of our students who were beta testers in the Pathways to Tech program, because this is going to be a really great opportunity for everyone. So thanks for coming this afternoon.
Appreciate that, Doug. And I'm going to share my screen and we'll go ahead and get started here. And just verifying, are you guys seeing my screen there?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Well, again, like Doug said, welcome everyone to today's information session, and definitely looking forward to getting you guys further information as it relates to our data viz competition. Just a few more introductions. So, like I said, I'm Cecil Criswell, Director of Teaching and Learning with PREP-KC. Susan Engelman, John Lang also have been part of the deeper planning with our data science group. And also we've had a group of students from our Pathways to Tech program that have been part of our beta testing that have really kind of shown us a lot of things as far as what you guys are going to be going through if you decide to submit a team into the competition. And it's one of those things, you know how we're all educators on the screen, so it's sometimes you're a couple of pages ahead of the kids. So we're kind of in that mode right now with the beta testing and understanding the journey that you guys are going to be going through. So kudos to that team there. And also special shout out to the other PREP-KC team members we have on here. Liz Means, also a member of the Teaching and Learning team. Kiva Gorman is with us as well, and then Christian Cush. So appreciate them being a part of hearing our data viz. So just to get us going, and let me step back real quick and just give you a quick rundown of our format. So as I'm sharing information, definitely any questions that you have about anything that you're hearing, feel free to drop those questions in the chat. Susan is going to be checking the chat, and she's definitely going to be monitoring the questions and answering some questions depending on, you know, the timeliness of what being shared, and then other questions may be answered later on in the presentation. So, but she will be monitoring the chat for that. So, Susan, thank you for doing that, and we'll be definitely getting you some more information. And then throughout the presentation, myself and John will be kind of piggybacking on sharing information as it relates to different slides there. So I like this slide that we're starting with here, because when you think about the last almost 50 years, we've really been in this mode of transforming information. So starting from this information age, going into this age of now computing information. So getting into this idea of knowledge and algorithms. And this is where the concept of data science is really starting to be important within what's going on in society. We also see, just from a industry and job perspective, the need for data scientists is definitely there. And when you think about the role of the data science individual, it's really that individual that is taking like whatever domain and business knowledge that they're connected to and applying areas of math, stats, and computer science to really provide that perspective that many industries need to help continue to solve problems. So you can see the value of students and individuals learning about data science and data literacy. To forward that even further, when you think about just industries across the board, you guys can think of many things you've seen on TV or just things you're involved with, just from your phones to what you're watching on on Netflix to what music you're listening to. There's an influence of data all around. So just a need for people to be able to understand data and be able to problem solve with data. You can see that data science is definitely a part of today's society. So when you think about the path to data science, it really is behind data literacy. And I really like these two slides here at the bottom because they really kind of spell out what data literacy entails. So the picture on the left really spells out what the data science process is about. Asking questions, gathering the data to be able to try to answer that question, analyzing and modeling that data, and then being able to communicate what you're finding to help answer your original question that you've asked. And then when you think about the visual on the right, this VN really speaks to all the aspects of data literacy that are key, from analyzing data to the design, to narrating and storytelling, around data. So when we think about data literacy, these are really the components that students or anyone, in society today really need to have a strong background in. So now that you guys kind of have a foundation of our view of why we feel data literacy is important, and then just how it connects to the competition here, this page here just kind of gives you some light details on the competition, but later on we are going to give more details here. So you might start having some questions at this point, but we will get further information to you where things will start making a little more sense. But the goal is for teams of staff and students to compete together to create visualizations, infographics based on a data set. And this year's theme, we really wanted to leave it pretty open. So that's why we decided follow your passion is a good one, because you can really go a lot of different directions here. And I think by focusing on your passion, definitely it's something that your team is going to be interested in. And then you'll be more apt to really dig in to try to find, the data that you're looking for and really start to understand whatever it is you're wanting to about the data. The competition is an open competition from beginning today through March 2nd. So teams will be able to work independently to develop their narratives, create their visualization, which they'll be submitting May 2nd. And then in May, we'll have a in-person gallery walk session where teams will be able to present their various visualizations, as well as our closing ceremony, where we'll be awarding prizes. That date is to be announced, so we will continue to work on that particular piece there. And then just how the visits will be judged. 4 different areas that the visits will be judged on: design, storytelling, analysis, and process. So those are pieces that, as you guys start to get registered and get involved, we'll start to get more information to you around just kind of what that looks like, so that your team can be better equipped to create a winning viz. So before I get into more of the guidelines, I definitely want to first give everybody a good picture of, walking you through the data visualization process. This visual, you will have access to it. It's actually on our website, and Mr. John's going to walk us through a little later on that website. But I'm going to break down this visual for you so you can kind of understand more this journey that your team that you're going to create, or teams that you're going to facilitate, the journey that they're going to walk as it relates to creating this visualization. So, the first part of the journey is really thinking about questions that you have about whatever passion that you guys have decided, and then determining that data set, and then taking that data and analyzing it, and being able to ask additional questions around the data. So really trying to understand, one, what is it that you guys want to focus on? And then what data do we think we need to try to answer whatever question or focus that we're wanting to have for our visualization. So that's really kind of the first step. And you can kind of see some of the visuals at the bottom of the page there, where you may be collecting data through Excel. You may be doing some things in some of the other like spreadsheet type of applications, but this is really the starting point, deciding what kind of data you want to focus on, as well as what questions that you're wanting to answer. After you do that, then it kind of gets into, so we've got our data, we've analyzed it, what stories would we like to try to tell within the data, so that you can be able to share with the audience, your findings. So this is where, thinking about, it's almost like, I would say almost compare it to like, if you were writing a movie or writing a script for a movie or something, really trying to lay out, okay, we've got these pieces, how do we start to fit it together? So really kind of think about how your data, you can get it to resonate into a story. And I like the little saying there that it says, if there's no story, you need different data. And I would even say, if you might need a different question as well. So, but that's part of that process that your team is going to go through with trying to figure out, where you guys are at as it relates to the data that you found. After that part of the process, then it gets into, so how are we going to visualize the storytelling? So you've got your data, and remember, with data, you've got various types that you may be dealing with. You may have quantitative data, you might have some qualitative. So thinking about the data you have, what are some different ways to visualize it that are going to be most effective for the story that we're trying to tell? So these are just examples that we have here in the visual, but you guys have seen various types of charts and graphs that are possible. And when we think about different data visualization tools, when you think about like your Tableau or Microsoft Power BI, some of those offer various options for you to kind of look at. So those are things that you want to kind of think about when you're considering, how you're going to visualize the storytelling. And then the last part of the process is beginning to build the data visualization, through your data visualization tool. So this is where thinking about, the simplicity, the imagery, the color, how do all those things tie together so that, the audience, or the judge in this case, is going to be able to understand the story as you're wanting to present it. So like personally, I almost kind of think of this as almost like an electronic science fair trifold type of thing. But definitely this is more sophisticated. So really kind of have that picture in your mind. You have this blank trifold that you're trying to develop this story on, based on the data that you guys have collected. So tying all that together, this Venn really kind of speaks to all of those pieces that we talked about there. So thinking about the data that you're going to collect, thinking about how you're going to design it as it relates to the storytelling, and then the functionality of everything, so that you have flow and that you're able to, again, project whatever story that you're wanting to tell. You're able to do that without having to talk to the audience, because they should be able to look at your visualization and understand what you're trying to portray. So just wanted to share that with you there. And before I kind of dig into this, I know we don't have a pause for questions right now, but Susan, are there any immediate questions that we'd like to kind of address at this point?
Yes. So someone is asking if the information that you're giving today will be available. And yes, all of this information will be available on the website, as well as a link to this actual presentation, so that you'll be able to go back and revisit this, but also look at any other resource that we have available. And we'll talk more about that here in a minute.
Great. Okay. Appreciate that. So I'm going to share with you a couple of examples that we thought would be good to kind of share, just to kind of get you in the mood of what we mean by a data visualization. And I want you to start with just that blank electronic trifold in your mind. So just kind of think about that as we kind of look at some different examples here. So these first couple examples, think about, these would be examples of like different charts that would be part of your story. This may not be the entire story, but so like, for example, these two visuals are connected to a New York Times article that's talking about global warming, and just having some data there that kind of shows that. So this may be parts of your trifold that you're trying to convey this entire story, but it may not be the entire story. But I wanted to show you these visuals just to kind of give you an idea of, there's a lot of options that you can use depending on what your data is about. If your data is more geographical type of data, you may be wanting to use a map. So just something to think about there. Here's another example here that compares what Americans feel about healthy food and what nutritionists feel about healthy food. Again, just one representation of maybe part of the story they're trying to tell. They may have some other graphs connected to it, but you can just kind of see, one, you've got numerical data, you've got some categorical data involved here. So when we talk about data, it may not just be numbers. So, and that's something that you want to try to help students understand too, that the data you're going to represent, you may be representing 3, 4, 5 different variables. So getting into more of that multivariable analysis is going to be important there. These next 4 I'm going to show. Now we're going to get more into looking at almost like the entire trifold and how it's going to interact. I like this example here. So this example is based on the hero's journey, for those of you that are familiar with the hero's journey, and they're actually communicating how the hero's journey connects to, like, if you're creating a presentation, just kind of going through the entire process there. So in their visual, it's actually interactive. So if I click on where it starts here, where it says the call, it kind of shares information about the hero's journey at that point. And then it connects to information to help me with my presentation as far as what they're looking to share with the audience. If I click on the crossing, again, it kind of shares as it connects to the hero's journey at that point. But you can see how this particular visual is interactive, where you're able to share multiple pieces of information just on one page. So this is one type of visual that you may want to think about, and with different visualization tools, you would be able to do various things like this. So that's just something to think about there. Another one I'd like to share. This one here deals with hat tricks in football or soccer. And this one is pretty interesting. So there were actually, to date, there's 51 hat tricks that have ever been recorded in soccer, and they're actually comparing it to the time in a soccer game. So how long did it take for it to happen? And then also you can kind of see over to the right, if I want to see, and then it reloaded on me there, so I'll be patient. On the right here, if I click on youngest to score hat trick, you can see the yellow there kind of toward the middle light up. So that's actually Pele. So if I can arrow over here and it can show me information about the 3 goals that he scored, when he did it, and just about that match. But you can see how it's interactive, where it's kind of displaying all the data, sharing information. So you're going to have some verbiage involved with trying to tell the story possibly, but giving the audience, a little bit of everything in this one visual. One more I'll share. This one here is interesting. This particular site, they did the visual as almost like a web page. So I'm going to start you here. So they took 2,000 screenplays and tried to break it down by gender as it relates to dialogue. So basically asking the question, based on dialogue, who's doing most of the talking? So you can kind of see here with just some of the, with this particular visual, the majority of movies that they found in the data are dominated by male dialogue. I'll scroll down a little bit, and it's going to show another visual. Okay, so they came up with a different visual there. So there's a data point for each movie that they've created, and see how it's interactive, where I can arrow over and it'll kind of show me more detailed information. A lot of your data visualization tools will do these things. So it's something you'd have to get in and kind of play around with. I'll just kind of scroll down and show you one more. So you can see they just have some other visualizations, but along the way, they're adding a little bit of verbiage to kind of tie things together. But you can kind of see when we talk about that trifold idea, that electronic trifold, you can see how you would have different charts possibly to help tell your story, but it really depends on what you're trying to portray. So that we thought that was a pretty interesting one. Oh, this one here I really like. So the movie, the Truman Show, I don't know if you've seen that. I haven't seen it, but I like the little bars there. They go from the start of the film to the end, just like when the dialogue is happening and how much is coming from, by gender. So, so this was a pretty powerful visual there. And then the last one I'll show you, and a lot of your students may enjoy this one. You may enjoy it too if you're a shoe connoisseur. So this particular visual, this person took, there's a little more than 1,800 models of the Air Jordan brand, and basically decided to visualize it. So all the little dots that you see actually represent one of the pairs. So if I click on let's just say one of the dots here, and we'll let it load up there. Let's try it again. So if I click on the dot there, it actually shows that particular pair of Jordan, and gives price, gives when it came out, things like that. I can try another one here. And then it actually shows the picture, shows the picture there at the top right. So, but I thought this visual was pretty neat because it took pieces of data and then visually they were able to show it like the first Jordan shoe, which that's what you see there. So I thought that was a pretty neat way to visualize that. But wanted to show you guys that because those are different examples. Those aren't the only way that you can create visualizations, but those are just kind of give you some ideas as you kind of think about one, what are you guys passionate about? Two, what questions you guys are starting to think about, and then what stories you might want to tell. So with that, I'll put another pause in. And Susan, is there any hot topics that we need to address at this point?
So far, we have no questions in the chat, but we can open it up if you guys have questions you'd like to ask just so far about data visualization, the process, some of the products. We're going to talk about the competition here in just a minute.
Okay, and definitely, guys, feel free along the way. Use that chat to keep firing away on those questions. So that'll be great. So let's briefly talk about some of those details that you might be looking for. So as you know, we have a data science competition that is looking for teams of students and teachers to compete, creating visualizations based on the theme of follow your passion. So, and it's based on a data set. As far as guidelines, March 3rd through May 2nd, that's our competition window. Each team may submit only one entry. So just keep that in mind. And participants can submit their entry at any point during the contest window. So there may be some individuals that you may know that didn't get to today's information session, but would like to compete. They still have an opportunity to compete. Just know that they will definitely follow the same contest window with submitting on May 2nd. And we don't have a limit on the number of teams per school. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. But each team can only submit one entry. So we'll have that. Some additional eligibility information. So it's open to middle and high school students and teachers from the PREP-KC partner network of middle schools and high schools. So definitely keep that in mind. 3 to 5 individuals on a team. So within that restriction, every team must have at least 2 students. And then student-only teams are also allowed. So yes, we'll have teams, possibly teams of students competing against teams of maybe students and teachers, and that's okay. But the idea is that teachers are able to go through that journey as well with the students, and take their passion, take the data, learn some tools that they may not be familiar with data visualization, and take those skills and not only create a visualization for the contest, but take those skills further into maybe whatever content that you're currently teaching to keep that energy around data literacy going. And then just the final eligibility thing, PREP-KC employees and any of the beta testing individuals from Pathways to Tech are not eligible to compete. So sorry about that, but maybe next year. So we'll get that. So when you think about designing your team, our team kind of looked at, created this today, which to me is real powerful because think about robotics. And the robotics teams usually have an array of content knowledge from various fields. Your data viz team is probably going to follow the same suit. You might have some students that are good at coding. You might have some students that are good at visual arts, good at analytical problem solving. Other students may be good at storytelling. But using all those skills together to create that visualization, that's where you can really get some good thinking. And then just that Venn really kind of brings all that together. So if you think about both of those together there. Some additional guidelines. All teams must register for the contest prior to submitting. the entry. So Mr. John here in a couple of seconds is going to share the website and get you that information. Once registering, when it's time to submit your viz, there's 3 things that you're going to submit. You're going to submit your visualization. It'll be an electronic version. The data set that you guys use, you'll be submitting. And then you guys are also going to be creating a short video describing the process that you guys went through. So we'll be getting you more information as it relates to how to submit and all those pieces. So definitely stay tuned. But step 1, getting a team registered is going to be important. And then technology that you're going to use during the competition. When you think about the data analysis, a lot of you are probably going to be using Excel and Google Sheets. So that's definitely a good step in the right direction, especially if students already have access to that. Regarding data visualization tools, these are just some of the ones that we recommend. Our group has been working with Tableau, specifically Tableau Public. So any questions, like if you guys are using Tableau, we'd be able to potentially connect with you if you have some different support questions and things like that. But there are a lot of other tools out there that some of you may be familiar with already, and that's totally fine. And they're definitely fair game to utilize. How to win? The entries will be judged by panels of judges from industry. And like I had mentioned before, these are the 4 areas that the visits will be judged on. And for prizes, we'll be awarding top 3 places will be awarded for both the middle school and high school divisions. So we'll have 2 different divisions there. And then in May, we will be having the gallery walk. And at that gallery walk, we'll also be having our closing ceremony where we'll have like an awards deal there. So we'll have that. And then the final thing that I'll talk about, and then I'll turn it over to John to share more about the website. We will be providing various support opportunities within the next 6-7 weeks to support you guys in the competition, because we want to keep this momentum going. We'll be offering a set of masterclass sessions that'll be featuring various industry professionals connected to those different pieces of the data science process that you saw. So data and questions, telling stories with the data, displaying data, visualization design. And then we'll also have one around our judging guidelines so that you can be able to have some idea of how you need to start getting your viz designed. And then in addition to those masterclass sessions, we'll be having think tank sessions. And those sessions will allow teams to, one, come together, meet with PREP-KC folks for additional support and questions, but also give you guys a chance to maybe have conversations with each other. Maybe there's something that, and Mr. Josh, I'll pick on you here, maybe something there that Josh's team has learned that, Nancy's teams have been, maybe struggling on. You guys can exchange information, or maybe there's some insights you guys are coming up with that will be helpful to the group. So just giving everybody those opportunities to collaborate and extend their knowledge. And then we'll also be sending out weekly postcard blasts with latest information. So regarding upcoming sessions, different tips, updates on how many teams are competing, and just to kind of keep building that energy. And once you register, you'll continue to receive those updates for upcoming information. Final thing I'll say with this, I forgot to say, the masterclass sessions will be asynchronous. So they will be recorded, and you'll be able to find them on the website so that you can watch them anytime. And we're going to do a podcast interview type format. So we're coming up with a list of like questions that you're probably wanting to ask if we did a live session, and trying to have that dialogue with the industry partners so you guys can get some feedback there. Think tank sessions will be in person. On Zoom. Okay, won't be in person, but they'll be on Zoom. It'll be live. So PREP-KC team members will be connected there, and then the updates will be sent out via email. So with that, Mr. John, I'm going to turn it over to you, and he's going to share some information about the website and how to get started.
Yeah, so while I am sharing my screen, I just want to say that we are asking you guys to make kind of a large jump here. But, you know, as we kind of said before, we've been testing this with the Pathways to Tech kids and myself. And I found that, you know, Tableau is actually pretty easy to use, and students are finding Tableau easier to use than Excel and Microsoft Sheets. So I think once you jump in, you know, you'll find that it's not as difficult as it kind of seems from the outside. We are we're having all of our information on this website. We're still in the process of getting some information on here, so you'll see some updates in the next week or so. You can visit the website, and I'll put this in the chat as well, at prepkcdataviz.org. And I believe you could also go to datavizprepkc.org. And why can I not access my chat buttons not working? Cecil, if you don't mind dropping that link in the chat.
No problem.
But on the website, we have some, you know, several things that I think will be important. One, you can, you know, register at today if you wanted to. You know, if you're not sure if you have a team yet, you can kind of hold up back on that. For team registration, we're looking for, you know, district, school, the primary contacts, email, phone, and you know, name, and then the list of team members. So usually the primary contact's going to be a teacher. May not always be that case, but you know, somebody that's responsible for getting those updates and giving them out to the team. And you know, there might be some cases where we have people that are interested but not quite have a team yet. So this is especially for, you know, students, but even teachers that may be interested. You guys can reach out and sign up on the website. So this is kind of our free agent. We kind of envision, especially for students that may be interested and not sure and they want to sign up. We can help you, connect you with, you know, a team and things like that. So I do have some students in my program that are cross-district that are working together on a team. And so we're happy to kind of facilitate that. We also have a brief kind of contest guidelines that Cecil kind of went over. This is not as in-depth as our rules form, but it should give kind of a you know, a basic window into what we're looking at. We will update this with you know, judging criteria down the line. Okay, so be looking out for that in the next week or so. We will try to get that out to you as soon as possible. And then we have a resource page. And the resources will it's definitely going to expand. We're still adding resources. But, you know, for instance, we have the tools you can look at, Tableau Public. I am working to talk to Tableau to get actual licenses as well. So one of the reasons that we're supporting Tableau, Tableau is really easy to use on, you know, a variety of devices. It's pretty easy to, you know, intuitive to actually pick up and use, and there's lots of online resources for it. So you know, we're going to develop kind of an in-depth look at Tableau and how to use it. But, you know, you guys are welcome to use something like Google Data Studio or Microsoft Power BI if for some reason students are familiar with that. And then on top of the tools, we have things like, we'll have tutorials, master classes, example bizes to look at, and we will, you know, fully flesh out this resource page. So you guys have plenty to look at, and we'll keep updating it as we find resources ourselves, right? Because we're kind of in the same, you know, the same place that a lot of the teachers were at. We're just a couple months maybe ahead of time, right? And so we're collecting all these resources from experts as we talk to them and things like that. If there is stuff that is not on the website, but you think that might be important, you know, we're still in the design phase, so now is probably the time to kind of voice those, but maybe down the road, if you're like, you know, it'd be really nice if this was on the website, you can just let me know. You know, we're still kind of designing this, so you guys are the first users to use it. So we want to make sure that this is like a central place you can go to and get any information that you might need. And then in the next week or so, there will be a page for submitting that that final submission. So, you know, you don't have to wait till the last minute, though you could wait till May 2nd to submit. We'll have that window is open. You know, might have teams that submit in the next week or so, might not, but you know, teams may, you know, want to, you know, but might be excited and get finished and have a product as soon as possible. So I think that we're at the point that we can actually answer questions, right?
Yeah. Hey, let me add one more thing with what John said there about just some of the data visualization tools. One of the other big pieces with Tableau Public, Tableau Public is free. So free is good. The downside right now with Tableau Public, it's not very straightforward with trying to do like a collaborative project, like if you're working with a team of people. So that's where we're trying to work with Tableau to possibly be able to get licenses for Tableau Desktop, where you do have that collaborative opportunity. So, but Tableau Public is free and it's out there. So I personally would encourage you to go there. But if others are have other options that you're familiar with already, or you know, you just want to try something else, that's totally fine as well. But there's plenty of tools that you could dig into here.
Yeah,
And John, the question in the chat is you don't have to have any coding experience to use Tableau, correct?
No. You don't need, in fact, in Tableau, it's actually kind of hard to get to the coding part. It's mostly just drag and drop, very intuitive. In fact, you know, one of the things that using Tableau does is kind of abstract away a lot of the functions that you would see in Microsoft Excel. So I know students kind of, you know, they know how to use some functions, but I don't think they really understand, you know, what's happening behind the scenes. So I know they always have questions when working with Google Sheets. And this is, you know, I haven't had a student ask me how to do like the average or anything, because they can just easily do it in Tableau. So that's one thing. You know, this data project is not just for computer science students or math students. It's for students of, you know, all different levels and all different, you know, backgrounds, right? This isn't just for our CS students. I would say almost every profession nowadays is data driven. So, you know, it's good for them to get familiar with this.
And then there's a question, if you're using Tableau Public right now, you can only see what's on your own screen. It's the Tableau desktop that would allow you to collaborate across the team.
Yes, and we are working on creating documentation to help with the collaboration process, because that's the number one thing, you know, that's our main pain point, and that's the number one thing we're looking for is collaboration, right? And I know that it's not always possible to collaborate in person, so we will work on kind of helping facilitate that, because that's the same thing we're dealing with. So you guys can learn from our mistakes, you know, and what we've learned from. So we will be creating that documentation. Like I said, the website will go through many changes in the next week or so as we get some of that stuff up.
And you guys may come up with some strategic ways to, you know, how to quickly do some sharing, whether it may be through some exporting of Tableau files to each other via email and things like that. So there are workarounds that we've been exploring, but I guess we're conditioned to Google Docs. So we'll just have to be patient with that. So, Susan, any other questions that in the chat that we need to address?
I think this is all we've got so far, but just to give everyone just a couple minutes to kind of process. Will we put the full guideline list or full sheet that we've created on the website, a link to that, like all of our documentation? Is that going to be available?
Yes. In fact, on the rules, we have the official rules as of yesterday. And this has a little bit more detailed than, you know, our contest guidelines. And we'll be adding to this for any rules or guidelines are created. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, thank you. Any other questions from the group? As far as you can tell, this is a very open-ended competition, unlike many of our other competitions, but a really exciting competition that teachers can participate as well.
I just want to reiterate again that you don't have to understand data science officially to participate. You don't have to be a data scientist. You don't have to be a programmer. You don't have to be good at art to participate. But if you've got the passion and you want to be able to work with a team to try to build a Viz, those skills will be taught along the way, as you and your team work. So we definitely encourage you to get as many teams as you can, or if you're wanting to be a part of one of the teams, we'd like to see teachers team up with a group of students and be able to go through that process as well. I know in the beta testing, I really like the fact that I personally have learned Tableau over the last 3 weeks, and just being able to work with the students and be able to, try to learn, the data visualization tools. So it's really been a great experience, and I'm going to keep learning.
I will agree. Working with a team of students, they are catching on way more quickly than I am as the adult, and that's okay. I'm learning. We learn things from the students, and it's been really exciting. So,
yeah, cool.
So there was a great question in the chat about do members of teams have to be from the same school? And I think we'd actually welcome hybrid teams. That'd be really cool to see kids from across schools working together. So yeah, if you're looking to link up, definitely reach out and use your own networks, or feel free to ask us, and we can help make connections if we know that there's folks who are interested. And then Liz also asked a question that right now, if you're using Tableau Public, would it be one person doing the visualization for the team with input? And maybe John or Cecil, you could talk a little bit about, if you're going to use Tableau Public and with the limited collaboration, would it be one person kind of generating the Viz on behalf of their team?
Yeah, I could just quickly kind of give some information based on our experiences so far. So we've been kind of working all right now individually in our own Tableau Public instances. We've done some sharing where when we've met, we've been able to, like if say Susan was on my team and she shared her workspace, that I could see that I could like quickly actually recreate it. So we do have that option, with the idea that, once we come up with our main storyboard, then we'd probably have to recreate things, but we'd have the design already from another workspace. But that's where Tableau Desktop is going to help with that. But it's not necessarily an end all, for teams competing.
Yeah, I would say right now what we kind of have doing, and this is repeating somewhat of Cecil's saying, is we're kind of prototyping the graphs first, right? The dashboards. Every kid can prototype on their own machine because they're using the same data. And then you have one person with the kind of the final version of that. Because it's really easy to recreate graphs, but you don't want to, if you're tweaking like the font and the color and things like that, that's things you want to encourage students to do later down the road. So like I said, in some of that documentation, that's some of the best practices that we've kind of learned, is having kids, maybe not spend a whole bunch of time on one visualization, but create many, and then as a team figure out what you're going to be your final kind of product, and then drill deep on that. So yeah, we're working out the kinks, but yeah, I think we're figuring out a way we can make it work.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to share my screen. I'll wrap us up with this just last slide while you're processing. So this is just showing you how to get started. So definitely visit prep-kc-dataviz.org. And once you get there, definitely register. You can check out the extended competition guidelines. Thinking about your team, start to have those conversations. Think about what you guys want to focus on with your passion, and then also look to get connected with those various masterclass and think tank sessions. Those are not required, but I definitely feel like they're going to be helpful to those teams that are able to take advantage of that. So just be on the lookout for that, and then definitely reach out to any of the PREP-KC team members if you have questions, ideas, any of that. On the website there, our support email will be there as well. So dataviz@prepkc.org. And the biggest piece of it, please have fun learning about the process. I think that's just going to be a huge win for you as an educator, but a huge win for our students as they start to build their skills.